There's an argument to be made in Cincinnati that they have two of the top five players in the National Football League. However, back-to-back years, this team has missed the postseason. Will they get back there and be the strong contender that they were in 2021 and 2022? That is the main question here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Welcome, everybody, back here to 32 on 32 here on Chase's Sports News, where we preview every team's season with a team reporter. Today, we preview the Cincinnati Bengals' upcoming season with a very special guest, a longtime broadcaster covering the team, Dave Lapham. Dave, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Chase. Appreciate the opportunity.
I'm so happy to have you here. You've obviously done so much with the Cincinnati Bengals. You played with them for a long time. You're now in their, Ring of Honor. You went to a Super Bowl with them, and now you've been a broadcaster for many years. No one knows Cincinnati football better than you and what it's like to represent the Bengals. So we're so happy to have you here. I know you've been covering a lot of training camp and kind of some of the soon-to-be preseason coverage. Overall, what has stood out to you from Bengals training camp?
I think how well the offense is picking up from where they left off last year. Offensively, at the end of the season last year, it was as good as it was in the National Football League. You mentioned it in your intro. Joe Burrow at the quarterback position is second to none. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, probably, in my opinion, the best player in the National Football League. I think Jamar Chase is as good a wide receiver, as talented a wide receiver as the NFL has seen for a while. And I think he's the best wide receiver in the league today. I mean, the guy has strength, speed, power, acceleration, change of direction. There's nothing that he can't do. There's not a route that he can't run. He's remarkable when he puts his foot in the ground and decides he wants to break on a route. I mean, it is like a 45-degree sharp angle cut, and he gets instantaneous separation. T. Higgins on the other side of it is another talented wide receiver, 6'4" wide receiver that's got a long, strong body as well with leverage, and he can cut on a dime just like Jamar Chase. So and he's got phenomenal hands. He's got very soft hands, and he catches that football extremely well, puts it away, yards after catch, big part of his game. I think that the Bengals have the trio of Joe Burrow quarterback, Jamar Chase wide receiver, along with T. Higgins. I think that's the best trio of players in the National Football League.
There's clearly an argument to be made, and the connection is so strong between those three as well, and that's why they've, made a Super Bowl together, had success together. The past few years haven't made it to the postseason, but there have been other things that have stood in their way. Defensively, they can't control the other side of the ball. So we're going to break down all those things. Speaking of defense, Trey Hendrickson, how has that situation been at training camp with Hendrickson in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, Trey Hendrickson is look, let's just call a spade here. They have to have Trey Hendrickson. I mean, the organization knows it. Trey Hendrickson knows it. All his teammates know it. That has to get done, and I think it will get done. I think it'll get done sooner rather than later. He is an immense talent, maybe as good a pass rusher as there is in the National Football League. It doesn't take long to call roll for him to be. Let's put it this way: he's in a top tier class in the National Football League. He's got. I saw him in the locker room here earlier today, and he's in camp. He's taking mental reps. He's not on the football field doing any physical part of it yet because he has not agreed to and then executed a contract yet. But man, he's in unbelievable shape. It's amazing to watch him work, and I've seen him in the weight room. Stuff he's doing is remarkable. And he's got endurance. He can do a bunch of reps, as well as the sheer power and strength to handle a lot of weight. On a few reps when he's maxing as such. So he can do anything really. Anything that needs to be done on the football field or off the football field, getting ready to perform at a very, very high level on the football field. Trey Hendrickson can get it done, and he will get a contract consummated. It's a matter of terms and conditions. We're talking about $500,000, I believe, in bonus money. That how's it going to be paid? When will it be paid? Things of that nature. I don't think there's not like a wide rift between the two parties. So I think it's a matter of a short period of time. I hope and I believe before he's got that contract done and he's back working with his fellow defensive linemen.
And you mentioned it. I mean, they need Trey Hendrickson on the field. Even last year when he was with the team, they were one of the worst defenses in the National Football League, and Hendrickson seemed to be that main bright spark, particularly in the pass rush. This is a guy with 5 straight seasons with 20 or more QB hits, back-to-back seasons with 17 and a half more sacks, led the NFL in QB takedowns last year, second in Defensive Player of the Year. Like, this is the type of guy you're talking about in Trey Hendrickson. They need him on the field, and particularly they need him ready for the beginning of the season because that is an area that Cincinnati continues to struggle. You know, 2022 and 2023, you get off the slow starts. 22, you overcome it, make the AFC Championship. 23, Burrow goes down with an injury, kind of an asterisk on the season. But last year, you're 4-8, you win 5 straight games, but you still can't make the playoffs. Again, a third consecutive year where this team has started off slow. How come they struggle to open seasons?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is defensively. Honestly, offensively, you know, they've had their issues offensively. I'm not going to say that they haven't, but more times than not, it's the defensive side of the football on a consistent basis. I'm not talking about, you know, like every other game or some series on, some series off during the course of a football game. They just can't get it done. They can't find their good rhythm early in the season. They just can't get things going early and get off the football field and get more possessions for their quarterback, Joe Burrow. And even with that said, Joe Burrow on the offense, you know, in that 4-8 start, they're averaging 35 points a game. You know, I mean, you can't ask for more than that. But defensively, when you're giving up 38 or 39, that's how you're going to lose, you know, 8 games in those 12 NFL starts. So you can't be one-dimensional in the National Football League. You have to be a balanced football team. And the teams that go to the Super Bowl and compete in the playoffs and work their way to the Super Bowl and then ultimately end up winning the Super Bowl are balanced. I mean, offensively and defensively, and special teams as well. Special teams will never cost them a football game by getting dominated in field position. You know, when you do punt the football, net yardage differential, you know, Super Bowl teams don't have a big negative net yardage differential. They're not getting pinned back inside the 20 every time they punt the football and then giving up return yardage, you know, letting the opponent get out to the 40, 45-yard line and start drives there. I mean, that's going to lose you some football games, you know,
Sure.
there's no question about it. So, you know, I do think, you know, that defensively has been their Achilles heel. It just hasn't been good enough. Hasn't been good enough on a snap-to-snap basis in the National Football League in the first half of the season or more. You know, 4-8 start in your defense was the biggest problem in those 8 losses, like I talked about. I mean, that's too long a period of time to try to find yourself. They're going to have to do that a lot sooner. You know, they're going to have to come out of the gate, come out of training camp, ready to go. And, you know, I'd love to see a bunch of 3-and-outs, man. It seems like in that 4-8 start, 3-and-out was like a foreign language. It wasn't happening. You know, teams were going on long, sustained drives and wearing the Bengals defense down.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it. The offense could play well enough, but week 2 against Kansas City, Bengals scored 25, Chiefs 26, Washington, Bengals 33, Washington 38. Eventually, you could keep going down the games, the 2 games against Baltimore. The offense could do whatever they like, but if the defense is not going to step up and do their part, there's only so much that they can do. I know that offensively to open the season, you know, Burrow and the offense have struggled, particularly in that opening game. You know, you had the Pittsburgh game where he threw 4 picks in the opener, and Cleveland only scored 3 points to 1 year. And then you obviously look to last year as well, and they struggled to get things going against New England. I know Zach Taylor said actually that Joe Burrow is going to play in preseason, maybe trying to avoid some of that rust. So I think that is a little bit interesting considering he is partially injury prone during his career. I mean, we're talking about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase here. They're obviously unbelievable. One of the best, I mean, clearly the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the National Football League. You've been watching them now for a few years. I know they were together at college. What makes their connection so special? What is it about them that just makes them such a joy to watch?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think it's so many things, and they're all important. I mean, obviously, Jamar Chase catches everything. I mean, if Joe Burrow, and it's rare, but sometimes he's off target. If he's off target, Jamar Chase is going to catch the football and put it away and not have any issues with that because a high percentage of the time he is hitting Jamar Chase exactly in stride. I mean, not making him deviate from his route at all, not making him slow down, speed up, you know,
He's the most accurate quarterback in NFL history, according to the numbers.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. His ability to throw the football to a specific point. Like if I'm looking at him, he's going to hit me in the left shoulder. But it is right there from 35 yards, 40 yards, boom, right there. Navel, boom, right there. Right knee, right there. It's remarkable how accurate he can be throwing the football from big distances, and the touch he has on the football. The arc is always perfect. It's never. It's never something that's like a big parabola that's hanging up in there. Up in the air too long. Defensive backs have a chance to recover and make a play on it. It's never like that. I mean, he drills the football, and he does it so many times. I mean, it's like if he doesn't, it's like if he makes one bad throw, it's like, what's wrong with Joe Burrow? I mean, he doesn't do that. I mean, I'd say probably during the course of the season, the number of throws that Joe Burrow has where it's like his receiver had no chance to make a play on the football are minuscule. I mean, he won't throw it. He won't throw it. He'll either run the football, and he's got a good ability to run the football. He's fast. Guy runs sub 4.5, and he's got some wiggle to him. And they don't want him doing that. Obviously, they don't want to expose him to those kind of hits. But he's clever. He's clever running the football, and he'll get down and protect himself. He's intelligent that way. Or he'll throw it away, and not put it in harm's way. He's exceptionally unique. I mean, he plays the quarterback position the way it was designed to be played. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you see kind of the running quarterbacks. You mentioned, sometimes he scrambles, but he is that traditional pocket passer. And I feel like if you could build a quarterback in a lab, just in terms of what they could do in the pocket throwing the football, Joe Burrow would be the quarterback that would come out of that lab. And that's why Cincinnati has had so much success with Burrow under center. I do want to note, obviously, some people attribute missing the playoffs last year for the Bengals for a few things. Most people point to the defense. They also 7 of their 9 losses came in a 1-score deficit. I feel like that's not sustainable next year. Do you believe maybe some of the luck will go their way, or do you just believe this team is not great in 1-score affairs?
I think the 1-score affairs were mostly because of defensive deterioration during the course of the football game. They gave up way too many points. I mean, they might have given up more. I think they did give up the most points in the NFL. And, when you're scoring 35 points and giving up 38, that's demoralizing, but it's a 1-score loss. And that a lot of the 1-score losses were the offense handled their side of the things. They handled business, and defensively, they didn't come close. I mean, they did not come close on a snap-by-snap basis of doing things you need to do to sustain an effort and win a football game, and as the game went on in the second half of football games, it got worse and worse. Offensive coaches would make adjustments, and if the Bengals started taking some things away that the offenses were having real success with in the first half, they were ready. And they'd make adjustments, and the Bengals weren't making good enough adjustments to adjust to the adjustments and win that chess match. They got checkmated way too many times last year. There's no question about it. And that's the biggest reason that they had the record they had. I mean, offensively, they should have probably won 12 or 13 games last year, not 9.
So then I guess it kind of brings up the question, you're losing these chess matches, one team's playing chess, one team's playing checkers. At some point, if this team misses the playoffs again or underperforms their expectations, how warm is Zach Taylor's seat?
Yeah, I don't think that Mike Brown feels like, Zach Taylor should be let go. I think he feels like he's one of the brightest offensive minds in the National Football League. The game plans that he does put out there with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are sound. And he's taken advantage of his weapons. There's no question about it. I think the biggest problem is they got to upgrade the talent. And that's not just Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is not the final determining factor as to who they draft and when they draft them and how they draft them, sort of things. So they're going to have to do a better job in terms of the NFL draft. And that's the biggest way to acquire talent in this era of the National Football League. You can, sign veteran free agents, but that's not something that you're going to make a living signing, 8 to 10 veteran free agents every offseason. That just is not, that's not going to happen. So you're going to have to do a better job of evaluating the talent and making sure that you go ahead and take that talent at the proper spot. And hopefully when you're ready to pull the trigger, they're still there. But yeah, it's a demoralizing thing for Bengal fans to have a quarterback and two receivers like we're talking about, the level of Joe Burrow and the two wideouts the Cincinnati Bengals put out there, and not be able to sustain the excellence. And it's because of the offensive line. It's the deficiencies in the offensive line. And I'm going to put it right on the guard position. The guard position just has not been good enough the last few years. And the Bengals are doing everything they possibly can to remedy that problem. And they've got a lot of candidates in training camp trying to show that they're capable of upping the ante in terms of level of play at that guard position. And hopefully they unearth and uncover some, because that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest thing that has to be rectified. The biggest necessity is to get much, much, much better at the guard position.
Yeah, I mean, you're a former offensive lineman yourself, you understand that. I want to break down the offensive line in a minute, but you mentioned building through the draft. Obviously, that's so important. They ended the Shamar Stewart saga. They have him locked up. But overall, I mean, this team's going to get expensive. They're already seeing it. They're going to have to pay Hendrickson. You already paid Burrow and Chase. And so eventually you can't afford to sign 8 to 10 veterans every year, as you mentioned. You have to build through the draft. And that's the method that Kansas City, Philadelphia, Baltimore have used to stay relevant through these years when their roster is expensive. And so that's something that the Bengals front office will have to grapple with a little bit. I want to touch on the offensive line, as you mentioned, 25th or worse in pass block win rate in each of the last 4 seasons, according to Warren Sharp. The O-line has underperformed. It hasn't put the offense and Joe Burrow in a great position to succeed. You were a former offensive lineman yourself. What exactly are the problems that are going on there? Are they fixable for the 2025 season?
Yeah, they're fixable. I mean, bottom line is that they just gave up too much push up front at the guard position. When you're forming a quarterback for a guy of the caliber of Joe Burrow or any quarterback in the National Football League, you want the center and guards to establish the depth of the pocket. You want them to firm up the pocket and keep defensive pass rushers at bay, right at the line of scrimmage, and then the tackles to run people by the quarterback. So then the quarterback has plenty of vision. He has lanes that he can see and pass to. He can step up in the pocket and not feel any pressure, not feel like he's going to get hit as he's throwing the football. His vision is wide open. He can see all the necessary lanes that he needs to see. He can see where safeties are and all that sort of thing. That's what has to improve, and that's the guard position. The Bengals have to do a better job of firming the pocket up and allowing Joe Burrow to see down the football field, not worry about getting hit as he's throwing the football, getting his hand or arm hit, and allow him to climb the pocket and release that ball the way he can do it, man. The guy can spin it.
Absolutely. And I think that having a great offensive line, I mean, Houston last year saw the repercussions of how having a terrible offensive line could affect your quarterback. CJ Stroud had a really down year in 2024 compared to his rookie year because of a bad offensive line. When you have Joe Burrow, he's going to be able to make stuff happen because he's one of the most talented players we've ever seen play the game. But that's not always the case for everyone. If this offensive line can be just serviceable, I can't even imagine what Burrow and this offense could achieve. Real quick, before we break down the schedule and wrap things up, I want to touch on this. Cincinnati Bengals, they ran for the third least amount of yards last year, but they also only ran the ball 380 times. So they were towards the bottom of the league in carries as well. Do you believe Cincinnati should lean on Chase Brown a little bit more this year?
I do. I think Chase Brown is a big solution to a lot of problems. I mean, I think he's a piece of the puzzle that they need to utilize more. I think he is a gifted running back. I think he's got a low center of gravity. His pad level is always lower than the opponent. He's got great contact balance as a result of that. He's got an ability to make people miss. I can't really count the number of times that Chase Brown made the first tackler miss before, getting tackled eventually down the football field after picking up significant yardage after making that first guy miss. So he is special, and he's also got great speed and acceleration. And when he does get out in the open field, when he puts it in second and third gear, that's a little bit better second and third gear than most have in the National Football League. He can scoot, man. Good catch out of the backfield, excellent receiver, runs good routes, understands the route running concept. Joe Burrow is very, very confident in Chase Brown and the routes that he runs out of the backfield. He feels like he runs routes like his wide receivers do. He runs the same route tree that they do. So Chase Brown is a big plus to this football team. The other thing that Chase Brown provides is with a quarterback like Joe Burrow, blitz pickup. You don't want free runners at the quarterback because your running back missed in blitz pickup. And Chase Brown sticks his nose right in there. Boy, he's always got his head right in the middle of potential problems with linebackers blitzing and safeties blitzing. He's very, very good with his assignments. Very rarely has an assignment error, assignment breakdown, and he finishes it physically.
Absolutely. And I think Chase Brown is a really underrated asset in the NFL. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. Real quick, we do this for every team. I want to break down some of the Bengals schedule here. I have it kind of written up. This is just tentatively, still some time before the season starts. What I think the Bengals will do this season, still some defensive concerns. And I don't know how this team will start. So I have those two opening losses. Cleveland, Joe Burrow struggles to play against. But overall, you just take a look at the schedule. What stands out to you? Does 10-7 sound reasonable? Just overall, your thoughts on the Bengals schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think 10 wins is a reasonable number. I think it's going to be more like 12. I think that they're going to look at 12 wins or more potentially. I feel like they're capable of getting that done. I think they've got every bit of necessary talent to accomplish that. I think they're going to run the division. I think every single game is going to be tight. I think they're going to be a lot of one-score games again in the AFC North. I mean, the AFC North is battle royale, man.
And no team has won the AFC North 3 years in a row since 2002. It's a tough division to continue to repeat it because of its physicality.
It is. And everybody knows each other cold. Everybody's very, very physical. It's a slobber knocker division. It's physically challenging. That's going to be the big thing. Will the Bengals be able to avoid injury during the course of the season? And most specifically, when you're playing against AFC North division rivals, you don't want to lose players in the midst of a game like that and have the coaches struggling. Oh man, we were counting on him. He was our big weapon. He was our secret weapon in this package. He was our big weapon, defensively in the pass rush or in a blitz package. And this guy was our secret weapon at the tight end position. We were going to utilize a couple of packages with the significant number of tight ends being rotated through the game, and now all of a sudden we're down because of injury. So, that's obviously the thing that every team has to try to avoid, the curse of injury, and it can be a big problem, that's for sure. So, I mean, I think if the Bengals can stay healthy and execute to the level that they are capable of executing, I think a 10, 12, 13 win season is not beyond the realm of possibility. In fact, I'd be disappointed if they lose more than 10 games. I could see them winning, 10 to 12 football games and hopefully hit that 12 win mark. I think if they do that, I think then they will probably win the AFC North and then automatically qualify for the playoffs. And then once you hit the playoffs, don't stagnate, don't level off, or definitely don't regress. Continue to climb. And if they can have a season where they just peak at the Super Bowl and play their best football against the best team from the NFC and can pull one off, it'd be unbelievable. And I'm hoping and praying, because I don't know how many more seasons I've got, but I think this is a tremendous opportunity. I think there's a real possibility the Cincinnati Bengals can win the Super Bowl this season. I really believe that.
I mean, if anybody deserves to win us a Bengals Super Bowl, it's you. I mean, you've been around the franchise for so long. You mentioned just getting hot at the right time. You obviously have experience with that, how you have to just get hot in the postseason. I break down the schedule. To me, I just have 10 wins. It's the defense. There's just too many holes for me. And how many of those one-score games you're going to be able to flip, I think, is the question. Now, I think Cincinnati will be in postseason contention and possibly Super Bowl contention because you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Anything can happen in the playoffs. And outside of Patrick Mahomes, we hear about all about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, heck, sometimes Justin Herbert. Joe Burrow is right there. Joe Burrow's made a Super Bowl. Those other guys haven't. So if you just want to talk about postseason pedigree and experience and how to play in the biggest moments, Joe Burrow has that. The one key, though, is going to be having his defense step up, because that's something he did have in that 2021 Super Bowl run. But absolutely, this team's going to have a chance. I also think if they are in a position where you start off slow and they're climbing from or you're digging yourself out of this hole and you're trying to get back, I think having those final 3 games of the season against teams that were under 500 last year, that's a great way to end your season. At Miami, whatever, they're usually not great in December. The Cardinals, who knows what they are, and the Browns are probably going to be try to get a top draft pick at that time and purposely resting their guys. So it's just that could be a great way to end your season. And personally, for the Bengals, I love the Week 10 bye. They need to rest up. Obviously, one of the best bye positions to have. Overall, I don't think the schedule is too challenging, but I think that, yeah, they are in a position where they could go all the way if the pieces do align.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love the bye week at Week 10, just like you're talking about. At that point in time, you're definitely exhausted physically and mentally, and that's a great to have all of that, all those games under your belt, and hopefully when you take that bye, you've got a record that says, hey, come back after the bye week strong and finish strong, and you're going to be in the playoffs, and you're going to be in the hunt to win playoff games and go to the Super Bowl and try to get a Super Bowl victory. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the schedule lays out very well. I think if they can get off to a good start, I think they can finish strong as well, based on the opponents that you talk about. I mean, if you can start fast and finish strong, usually that bodes well. You got to be better than 500 though during the rest of the season. That's for sure. I think they're made of the right stuff. I think they have the capability of winning a dozen football games and getting to the Super Bowl and getting that victory. If the defense plays at a more consistent level, consistency of performance breeds excellence. That was another Paul Brownism. If they can do that, and if we can pick up a couple of guards that really solidify that offensive line, the interior of that offensive line for Joe Burrow and company, to allow him to perform at the peak efficiency that he's capable of, I think it could be a very promising season for Bengal fans.
I think many fans should definitely be excited. Look, they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They're going to be in the mix. Dave Lapham, real quick before we wrap up this episode, I've mentioned it. You're one of the greatest Bengals of all time. You're in the Ring of Honor. You've done so much both as a broadcaster and a player, but you've been around this franchise for a while. They're still looking for Super Bowl #1. You've been a part of many great teams. You know what it's like to be on a contender, have the expectations set on you, and get to a high point. What should be the conversation? What should be the mindset? How should Cincinnati be approaching this season as they have Super Bowl aspirations?
Yeah, I think that they should be approaching it with a lot of confidence. I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, I think they feel like they're the best team in football. I think they feel like they're the best players in football. I think that they don't feel like there's another threesome that can put up the numbers that they can put up for their football team. And I think you have to approach it with confidence. I remember Paul Brown talked about that. You have to play with confidence, or you might as well not even go out in the football field and line up and take some snaps against an opponent if you think you're going to beat them like a drum, more snaps than not. So I think there's a mental approach and a physical approach, and I think they're going to be fine physically. They're going to make sure they get that right mental approach, and getting off to a fast start, I think, is critical. It's critical. I think they got to get that monkey off their back. They can't get off to that 0-2, 0-3, 1-4, 4-8 start. Just can't do that. Can't do that, because then it's the fan base is going to be, here we go again, And I think the fans definitely deserve a Super Bowl appearance. I think that they've supported this football team as well as anybody has supported their football team in the National Football League. They're diehard. They really are, and they deserve a Super Bowl appearance. I do think that the biggest thing, 3 things. Get off to a fast start. Make sure you take care of business in the middle of the season. The midpoint to toward the latter part of don't fall apart there, and finish strong. If you can, the 2 big ones, like we talked about earlier, start fast, finish strong, and then let the chips fall as they may. I think the Bengals have a strong chance of making a big run this year to the Super Bowl.
They certainly do. I'm excited to see what they will do. Dave Lapham, thank you so much. I feel like I should call you Mr. Bengal. Thank you so much for coming on the show today at the Docs of Football. I know we've been coordinating this for a little while. We're finally able to have you on the show. Best of luck this coming season. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you very much. Appreciate the opportunity, and hoo-day.
We're going to wrap this one up here. What a way to end it. Signing off here alongside Bengals broadcaster Dave Lapham. I am your host, Chase Coburn. Saying so long for Chase's Sports News. NFL fans, be sure to subscribe. We have many more teams to preview here on 32 on 32.